Welcome to Ashlee Marie. Today we are making edible chalk and chalkboard cookies. Let's get started. To get our chalkboard cookies, I just used a rolled out sugar cookie, super easy. I have a recipe on my site with a link down below. And now how to get the black. You have two options because you want to be able to write on it. You can't use a soft frosting, so we need a hard frosting. You can either do a royal icing that actually, tastes, well, like sugar, but you have to give it like at least 24 hours of dry time so that it's hard enough to write on without just crushing the crust of the frosting. You actually need the frosting to be completely hard. And that's kind of gross, and then the cookies are 24 hours old and blah. The other option is to use fondant and let that get hard. But then fondant is disgusting, and so, it's kind of, which way would you rather go? Black fondant is much easier to get because you can just buy it. Black royal icing is much, much, much harder. In fact, you're only ever gonna get a very dark gray. So, you kind of have to weigh your options to decide what's best for you. I decided to go with the royal icing route because I at least want it to taste kind of sweet and not just a big chewy wad. So, to make black royal icing, what you want to do is make traditional royal icing and you add some cocoa powder to help with the darkness, and then you add a lot of black food coloring. And I like to use powder food coloring because you get a much stronger flavor. So, royal icing, powdered sugar, meringue powder, and like I said, I'm going to add cocoa and the black food powder. And I'm mixing all of the powders together first before I add the liquids because they're easier to incorporate that way. I'm just going to use a whisk. Now this black powder dye, as you start mixing this frosting, it's going to kind of along with the powdered sugar, and then you'll get it everywhere. So as you clean up, make sure you use a rag you don't care about because it will get dyed black or dark gray. Paper towels are a great way to go for this. Already you can see that the powdered sugar is much, much, much darker. So now we're going to add our water. And we're going to start mixing it up. Notice I'm not using my usual mixer. It's a plastic bowl, and plastic and royal icing do not mix because plastic's always a little bit greasy and it's hard to get it completely clean. So you want to use a metallic bowl for royal icing. All right. I've got the powder kind of incorporated, so we're going to turn it on now. Start on low to make sure all that powder is incorporated, and then move up to high. One of the secrets to royal icing is beating it long enough. You want to beat this for 7 to 10 minutes on high. It's going to get much stronger and much glossier that way. Our royal icing is perfect for making flowers. It's really thick, which is what you're looking for when you originally make royal icing. But what we want is a looser royal icing. It's called color flow, and so it's actually runny enough that as we pipe it on the cookie, then it gets all connected and smooth together, but not so runny that it runs off the side of the cookie. So it's kind of a little medium. So you want to add a little bit of water at a time because a little water goes a long way with frosting. And so we're just going to add a little bit, mix it, a little bit more, mix it until it's perfect. And what we're looking for is when we take some of the frosting and like dribble it back onto itself, and it kind of creates a little ribbon, that by the count of 10, it's completely smooth. Now we don't want it to be smooth by 5, that's too runny. And we don't want it to be smooth by 12, that's not quite runny enough. So 10's like the perfect number. We've mixed this with some extra water, and it looks like the right consistency, so let's test it. We're going to take some and drizzle it on the rest and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And that got really smooth, so I am happy with that. So I'm sure you guys have all seen this trick. Take your piping bag, put it inside a cup to hold it open. I don't usually do this with buttercream, but it works really well with royal icing to be able to hold the bowl and pour. Now, if you fill a piping bag up too much, it's difficult to work with. You kind of don't want to fill more than half a cup to 3/4 of a cup, a nice good sized handful. All right, we don't want the royal icing we have left to get crusty because then it won't be usable. So you take a little bit of plastic wrap and you just take it and press it right down onto the royal icing, all the way to the edges, cover everything up. because we don't want, including your spatula, because we don't want any of it to get crusty, and then we'll be able to use that again later. Time to pipe. I went with this simple shape for these chalkboard cookies. So you just want to pipe an outside edge, and then we're gonna fill it in. And you just kind of, it's the same piping bag, you just squeeze a little bit harder. And you want to work one cookie at a time because you want to work with our scriber needle while it's still wet, connecting all this. Otherwise, it'll crust and you won't be able to make any changes or fix it. And we're gonna let that dry. Now we're gonna make our edible chalk. Now you can see the difference right here. This is white candy melts and this one is bright white candy melts. Now by itself, that one probably looks okay. You can tell it's a little bit ivory yellowish looking, but once you put it next to that bright white, man, what a difference that makes. So you wanna make sure you find the bright whites. I have a link down below to the ones that I used. Anyway, one of the other reasons the bright white works better, not only does it look better as chalk, but it actually writes better. You get a better chalk effect, I guess I should say, on the frosting. So to get started, you want to use the bright white candy melts and melt them. Now we're gonna take these straws. These are the size of the chalk that I want to create, and we're just gonna pipe right into them. I can see it going through. I only want to pipe halfway. The first time I did it, I piped all the way to the end, and it was so hard to get the chalk out of the straws. So halfway kind of gives you some leverage. So again, just take the piping bag in there, squeeze till it's about halfway full. And final one. This is the best one because you can see it go through. All right, now notice I jammed them down into this cup. It has sugar at the bottom. That's just, you can put anything down there, flour, sugar, salt, whatever. It's just so that the chocolate doesn't melt because it's warm. Just pour out and then pool at the bottom of the cup. It kind of holds it up in the straw. So now we're gonna put these in the freezer for 10 minutes. We're gonna take a dowel rod that fits inside our straw, put it in and push. Oh, look how beautifully that's coming out. Whew. And now we have a piece of chalk. This is a little long, so I'm just gonna break it in half. If you have one that's being a little bit stubborn, like I do, I got a little ways out and it just won't come anymore. No matter how much muscles I have. Run the portion that has white chocolate in the straw under warm water for about 5 seconds, and then it should slide right out. Dry it off, and then push. And see, it just comes right out after that. Now it's a little bit soft, so if I use this technique, I stick it right back in the freezer. Now I accidentally filled this one all the way through, and it was so hard to push out, but I used the warm water trick and it worked. So I'm just gonna break this one into thirds. And now I have all of these lovely edible candy chalk. All right, our cookies are done and they have dried, so they're kind of hard. And our chalk has sat in the freezer and it's ready to go. So let's give it a try. Ash. All right, the best part about these is chalk's edible, tastes just like chocolate. So are the cookies. They're a little hard. This is one of those treats that it's actually more about the way it looks than the way it tastes, but they still taste great. The frosting is, had to be rock hard in order for the writing to work, but my kids downed these. In fact, I had to make a whole nother batch just for this video because they were gone. So kids love them no matter what. If you enjoyed this tutorial, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss anything else, and leave me a comment letting me know if there's a video you want to see. Thanks for watching.